It is Monday. It's 9 p.m. European time, and today we're gonna talk portable operations and field day. And on my let's figure out which way to point. On my side here, I got Walt, K4OGO or Sierra Papa K4OGO at the moment. Do you want to introduce yourself, Walt?
Yeah, I'm Walt K4OGO, or like he said, Sarah Papa slash K4OGO. I have a YouTube channel, Coastal Waves and Wires, and I operate a lot of portable. Mostly, if you subscribe to my channel or know me, it's on the beach. I do a lot of beach ops. Yeah, that's who I am, and I'm just happy to be here. Hey Morten, tack for att du invitade mig. I don't know how close I was in Norwegian to that, but thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I figured Field Day is coming up in most Region One countries this weekend, and I thought I would start out. I got the rules for the Norwegian Field Day rules here. Google translated, so might not be accurate. But the goal of Field Day here is to operate portable and on battery power on your radios to promote the hobby and to strengthen cooperation between Norwegian radio amateurs. And there are some challenges with that operating for 24 hours portable on battery power. What are your experiences by doing these long haul operations on battery, Walt?
I tell you one thing I do if I know it's going to be a long haul. My backup radio is my Zygo X5105 with an internal battery. So a lot of times, if it's going to be a long day, I'll start out with the G90, and I have a LifePo 4 6 amp hour battery with the G90, and you still get me 2 or 3 hours out of that. And if I'm having a great day and it's going to last longer than that, and I see it's dying, I just unplug it and then get me another 3 or 4 hours out of the X5105. Of course, I'm losing 15 watts. All of a sudden, I'm going from 20 to 5 watts to do it. But yeah, that's what I do. So honestly, I need to step up my battery game. I really do. It's not
Yeah,
that good.
I know the feeling though because I usually operate QRP when doing portable, and I usually use this small power bank jump starter. It's the size of a large power bank. It's featured in a lot of my videos, which gives me a couple of hours operating time on 5 watts. But I'm going to do something different this year. I'm going to bring my 7300 and operate 100 watts. So that's going to be a different experience. And we got a couple of people in the chat here. Let's just say welcome to everyone. Ham Radio QRP is in the channel. And for those of you who haven't seen his channel, he kind of tries to make an antenna out of everything and operate QRP. I can recommend that. We
He's
have LB4.
one down too, Morgan, because he has an exercise bike hooked to a generator, so he just sits out and pedals, and he has like unlimited power. All you got to do is just like feed him corn, and he can make it happen.
Yeah, that is impressive. We have LB4FH Chetel in the house. Williams here tonight. LA5 Papa Alpha, and we got Tim G5TM here, and also a YouTuber that I can personally recommend. So yeah, welcome everyone, and especially to you guys who haven't been on the stream before. Welcome to you. So operating portable adds some challenges, but I love a good challenge, and that's probably why I'm doing the 100 watt route this year, because it's gonna bring a different experience due to power consumption.
Yeah,
And
what's funny, Morton? I just bought a 50-watt radio. It's an oldie. I bought a 10-tech Scout 555 because honestly, I love QRP. Don't get me wrong. If my QRP peeps are watching, like don't get me wrong, but the advantage you get from I kind of envy you 100-watt guy, portable guys. I've honestly never done it. I've been operating portable for 2 or 3 years, but I've never I've never sat on the beach with 100 watts, and you see what I do with the low power. I can only imagine. So I envy you guys. So I'm really looking forward for your advice for power for 100 watts, because I don't want to say I'm going to abandon QRP, but I'm going to dabble my foot in my watt world here soon.
Yeah, it is a different kind of experience. Just hang on one moment. Because earlier this year, I actually acquired, let's see if I can get it in camera here, a 50 watt amp for QRP. And there is a difference going from 5 to 50 watts. I've used it for parks on the air once, and for the first time, I managed to get a pile up on POTA. Never managed to do that. I can manage that on Soda on a summit with 5 watts because all the chasers are there, but never done it on POTA until I got the 50 watts. So it was a different experience. And
Yeah.
I also did it on the beach. I followed your example, and the effects of being close to salt water should not be underestimated, at least not while running QRP.
Hey, I've had some amazing success with it. I'll tell you, I'll tell you the reason I started my channel. I've got a few guys that I've followed for quite a while, and for some reason, I'm an American. I really like the UK guys. I follow. As a matter of fact, Tim here, he's one of my favorites. I like his portable in the car concept because he goes to the sea and does it. So I've kind of, I'm sorry, Tim, I've copied you a couple times. I did it in 10 meters here last month or whatever, but I learned a lot, and Tim's knowledgeable. I enjoy him. But the genesis and what became Coastal Waves and Wires, if you remember when Callum, the excavator Callum, before his channel got killed and then restarted again, Callum posted a video, and in it he talked about basically the saltwater amplifier and taking a vertical down to the sea and getting on the seawater. And I lived in a coastal town, and I was like banging my head trying QRP or whatever. I said, you know what, that's cool, let me try that. I had a work trip to Hawaii, so I took my little 5 watt radio to Kauai with me, and I put a little quarter wave vertical up in Hawaii, and like one of my first contact was a ZL New Zealand contact, which people think Hawaii and New Zealand are close, but they're not. It's a long way. It's like 4,000 or 5,000 miles. And I was like, hey, this works. And the next thing you know, it was just lighting up. And that was the day I became addicted to it. But like getting back to it, that people like that in YouTube, Morton, people like that, it's just amazing all that you learn from it. And that's kind of how I got into it, and how I started the channel, because people said, you can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll show you. And learning from these guys, it was pretty cool. So, like I said, I learned from you. I always tune into I'm a digital idiot. That's why. So when you do your digital shows, I'm trying to learn a little bit about that. So that's why I tune into you.
Well, yeah, my digital Monday streams were actually just for me to explore the different digital modes and especially the ones that people don't use. And by doing that live on YouTube, you get someone to make a QSO with, and in pretty much all of the modes. And that was really enjoyable. Right now, I'm trying to figure out a different concept. I'm going to do a different theme every Monday since I pretty much run out of digital modes. And as you, I prefer sideband operations and telephony far over digital modes. They have their place, but it doesn't give you the same feeling as when you put up your G90 by the beach and manage to get Brazil on 20 watts from Norway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great feeling. I even wore my hat backwards. My son says that this is the boomers aren't supposed to wear their hats backwards. This is my look when I'm portable right now, because the wind blows. I mean, we're talking portable ops, so when you're on the beach, especially, the wind's blowing, so you can't just be like you hear and the wind blows it off or whatever. So I figured tonight I'd put my portable look on for you, Morton, and we're operating portable tonight here from SP land.
Yeah, wearing the hat backwards for us, let's say grown-ups, at least for my kids, they tend to get a little bit embarrassed by that. How about your kids?
Yeah, me and my son are, he's my best friend, and he joke around about stuff like that. But yeah, he's a good kid, and he's getting ready to turn 30. I can't believe I'm that old. It's man, time flies.
It sure does. So back to the portable aspect of it. Have you ever done field day in the United States?
Yes,
And what are
you know what? I'm looking forward to your field day. Like, I'm going to be a fixed station here in Poland. So I got to work Saturday morning. I got to be where I'm at, but I'm going to come back and basically out of the house that we were renting here. I'm going to just, I'm not much of a contester per se or whatever, but I'm just going to all weekend when I get off work Saturday, I'm going to just, I guess what's called, I look through the rules or a fixation. I'm just going to go for it all weekend and have fun with it. The thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I guess it's just like a normal contest. What I'm seeing with the European rules is just to give them, say, a 59001, 59002. Is that correct?
at least for Norway it is. And I've only done one field day, and that was last year. And it kind of surprised me that every country did it pretty much the same way. So you got the sequence numbers in return, no matter pretty much who you contacted. And for Norway, the points are calculated this way. For fixed stations in Europe, you get 1 point. Fixed stations DX2, portable Norway 3, or portable Europe 3, and portable DX4. So so it kind of it gives you an advantage of hunting the portable stations, and there are going to be a lot of portable stations on air. At least there was last year, and hopefully the bands will liven up a little bit towards the weekend, because they've been terrible the last couple of days. But turns out, though, when there is a big contest or similar happening, the bands aren't as dead as you think.
Yeah, the American field day, to me it's a pain because you got grid squares and states, and there's just too much in the QSO, and that's what I like about this from what I've seen. This will be my first European field day, but I like it. I just want to say 5.9, 132 next. You know what I mean? Let's move on and make contacts, and yeah, that's one
Yeah.
thing I think that the IARU is getting right from what I've seen. And listen, I know nothing about your field day. I'm learning here this weekend as I go along.
Yeah, I don't really know that much either, especially since I've only been licensed for a year and a half. So I've only done one field day. And this year, somehow I got in charge of running it for the club together with another ham. So we've figured out a spot to stay out in the woods on a beach by a lake, and unfortunately not salt water, but it's a nice location. So we're going to bring hammocks, probably maybe an RV, um, cooking equipment, radios, everything, and run portable.
Are you guys bringing
So
any beer with you? You got
uh,
beer.
yeah, we got to bring beer. And I see I see Chetel here. He's done Norwegian field day a few times, mostly alone, but also some with the club. And I kind of enjoy the club aspect of it, because it's not only operating radio, it's also socializing. It's talking about radio, it's talking about antennas, it's drinking beer,
Yeah.
it's firing up the grill. So it's going to be a social event, and that's so much different than staying at home running a contest.
Yeah, I'm in two clubs back in the States. The city I live in, Portsmouth, Virginia. Yeah, I'm in the Portsmouth Amateur Radio Club, and then I'm also in the USS Wisconsin. We have a battleship, a museum ship. I'm on that club. Our Portsmouth club really doesn't do much. I mean, it's sadly, I probably need to step my game up with that. I mean, they're getting older, as a lot of ham radio clubs are, and it's more of a VHF and having coffee on Saturday morning type thing, and they just don't get out like I'm sure they used to. But yeah, it's clubs are cool. I mean, and awesome. But the battleship Wisconsin, USS Wisconsin, which is in Virginia, not Wisconsin. That club is really cool. I don't know if you actually got a video. You see where the museum ships on the air where I worked at. That club's cool, and I think maybe if I'm home next year and not traveling with that, I would really like to work a field day from the ship. I basically have the keys to the castle. I could do that. That would be fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And are you operating the original older radios on board as well then, or are you using modern radios on the ship?
We have both. We do. Typically, I operate, because of the SSB thing. I operate the modern radios, but we have some. I mean, former U.S. Navy radio men that can just like zip CW like they're just unbelievable. They operate the old, the World War II era stuff, which is operational. I mean, it works on our ships, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm not sure. I've only been in that club about a year. I'm not sure if they've done a field day. I don't think keeping up with them. They're not going to do. They didn't do it this past year, but that would be cool. I think this is giving the hamsters are twirling right now. I think maybe next year for field day I'll do that and try to convince the club to do that. Off the ship. That would be. I mean, hey, it is kind of like field day in its sense. But, looking forward to it.
Yeah, and the club aspect is important, especially as clubs are, as you're saying, growing older, as most clubs are, unfortunately. It's a good way of showing off the hobby, and maybe recruit some younger guys that might have somewhat of a radio interest.
Yeah.
And I see Bird in the chat saying that the Belgian Field Day is next weekend and it's his first one. So I don't think you'll regret participating, Bert, if you plan to. And I see WAPB POTA by example. I think it's Patrick, isn't it? Saying that the battleship Wisconsin is a day trip for him from DC.
I look out my living room window across the harbor at this ship. I can sit on my couch in my living room and see the lights of the ship. That's how close I live to it. So it means a lot to me. That ship is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've only seen videos from it, but it looks awesome. So I'm hoping for a tour of the harbor the next time I'm over there on the East Coast there, Walt.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I like any metropolitan area, there's upsides and downsides to it. But that's one thing I try to do when I'm operating portable down in the harbor is promote that harbor a little bit too, because the inner harbor itself is wonderful. It's beautiful. I live in Old Town Portsmouth, which we like to call a wonderful community that's surrounded by the rest of Portsmouth. So,
yeah, I've been to the area once, and I mean, all of coastal Virginia is just really, really beautiful. So for anyone who hasn't been there, I can recommend a visit there.
So let me ask you a portable question then, Morton. So how much stuff when you go portable, how big of a package? I mean, how much stuff do you pack and how hard is it? And I'm curious from my standpoint, I'm walking over a sand dune, and then I usually have my wife with me, my beach chair, her beach chair, a cooler or whatever of refreshing beverages and everything else. How much stuff and how hard is it for you to set up portable?
I usually pack everything into a 30-liter backpack. So I try to keep as compact as possible, including radio, batteries, food, coax, and everything I need. Because even POTA here usually requires a substantial hike. It's usually some kind of conservation area deep into the woods. So not really many places where you can just drive to wherever you want to operate. So my goal is always to keep it as light and compact as possible. And I also carry a camping stove and some food because I enjoy a hot meal while operating portable, at least in the winter and fall and spring. Maybe not in the middle of summer. But I've been trying a little bit to operate from the car where possible, and that's just a completely different experience. And you need to develop a completely different skill set for that compared to operating summits on the air style.
Right. I don't know. You know, for me, like right now, in a sense, I may be in a house and working overseas for me here in a big house in Poland, but I'm portable right now. You know what I mean? Because I had to fit everything, including a battery, what have you, in my backpack and get on the plane because you know you can't check a battery, you can't put it in your luggage and have it shipped. It has to come with you. So everything I have here in Poland right now came in a backpack, carry-on backpack with me. That's why if you've seen some of my videos, they're small wire, you know, antennas. That you know, my backpack was like a basic military style backpack. I had my G90. I took the flaps off of it to make it smaller and fit into a pack. I had my 5105, which I have a little pack for. So those two things were in there. I had about 4 different wire type antennas. I had a bag of different adapters. Coax. I took the coax and put it in my luggage because that just if that didn't make it, I'd find somewhere here to get it. But everything I have with me in Poland, I got in my backpack. So in a sense, even though I'm a fixed station in a house here, I'm portable all day long.
Yeah, exactly. And some of my goals operating portable is also being able to show people that you don't need the big radio, you don't need the 100 watts. You can get by with a QRP rig, and you can actually make a lot of contacts operating QRP as long as you optimize the rest of your station setup, such as coax length and antenna. And I spent a lot of time optimizing my antennas for portable use. Only use resonant antennas for portable, just to get every little bit of those 5 watts into the antenna, or at least as much as possible.
I try to do that. That's the beauty of the 2 Zyger radios I have, is they have built-in ATUs in them, and I try as hard as I can to make everything resonant. I've spent 20, 30 minutes putting a half wave wire into the air on the DX commander pole and trimmed it or whatever. And I look down and my SWR is like 2.0 to 1. I'm like, I don't care. We're going to talk. I'm tired of it, so I get that.
Yeah. And that's a good point though on the Saigu radios. Their tuners are amazing. You can pretty much tune anything, and you can even get a tune when not having an antenna plugged in. I did that once with my G90. So the tuner is incredible on it. And that's one of the things I miss with the 817. I got this small L-Craft portable tuner, which works good enough, at least when it's just a little bit off. But I mean, the G90 could tune anything.
Yeah, it can. I'll tell you something about the G90 that I've learned. I have a little tiny, I got it on Amazon, like a 4 amp plug into the wall power supply. And I think the G90 says that you're supposed to have 7 or 8 amps or whatever. I can run 20 watts with 4 amps or whatever, and everything works fine. Occasionally, like I know I was trying to get on 15 meters and I hit that halfway and it hit the tuner and it killed everything. So, when the G90 is on with a resonant antenna, and I've done it with a meter, when you're transmitting at 20 watts, you're only drawing about 3.5 amps. That's a great thing for a portable radio because it's going to make your battery last a long time. That's one reason why I love that radio so much. I really do. But,
that's one of the reasons I really. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I really regret selling that radio, actually, because the tuner and the power consumption and everything was so fine. And I see Collins in the chat mentioning that a doublet is a very efficient antenna, even for QRP using a tuner. And that's actually one of the antennas that I still haven't tried. So I've been thinking about building a doublet just for testing it, but I haven't got around to it yet.
You know what I've noticed? I think I'm going to eventually do a video called Urban Gorilla Antennas, because that's kind of what I am right now. I'm Urban Gorilla Portable. You know what I mean? But one thing I've noticed is
Yeah, I
I,
know.
I just put that dipole up. Well, I had to run 50 feet. I'm sorry, I'm talking in American here. 50 feet. I don't know what is that, how many meters that is. But anyway,
15 meters.
yeah, out the window and down on the grass, and then up to the dipole that I had stretched across the backyard here, and it worked. It was great, and that antenna was an amazing antenna. The problem is that was really a pain in the butt, getting everything out. And like I've made a with a 9-to-1 random wire antenna and a couple of different infrared antennas with 49-to-1s, and I just opened the window, throw the wire out, shut it. There's the unknown right here. Run out in the back, take some wire, and put it on the fence. And it's a much easier antenna. And not to put down a double or anything like that, it would be wonderful. But for me, like the ultimate urban gorilla antenna is something you just throw out the window and run out and hook the wire onto something. And that's something I've learned from experience of that right here. That's kind of a portable thing too. I'm sure it's so different than when you're portable and you put a spike in the ground, throw the feed line up in the tree and pull it back down, and everything's right there. It's kind of the same principle.
Yeah, exactly. And I see K3JRZ on the air says there's a small urban radio gorilla running around the harbor. Please be advised that he's armed with small, low-powered radios and antenna wire.
Everyone,
So,
it's funny. Steve T.O. once said in one of his feeds, he says, Walt loves QRP, like a whatever, like a kid loves bacon, or I forget what he was joking on me. Whatever. One day, my favorite saying is going to be, give me a minute, let me swing my beam in your direction. One day I'm going to be that guy. But right now, I'm just going to do the QRP thing or whatever. Because this won't last forever. As I get older, I kind of envy those guys that, and we all know who they are. I mean, it's funny because the stations I work regularly from the States, Sugar 5-1 David X-Ray, Sugar 5-7 David X-Ray, and India Kilo 4 GRO, all those guys that I hear in the States all the time, they're blasting me over here when I hear in Poland. So I'm like, okay, that wasn't such a big deal after all. This guys, those guys, I'm like, oh my God, it's K4OGO again. Hey, everybody, like, he's everywhere. I'll be there one day.
yeah, I don't really know if I want to be there though. I got a couple of beams for the higher bands, but I somewhat enjoy the challenge and just putting a lot of power into an antenna with a lot of gain. You take some of the challenge and randomness away from the hobby there.
Right, I agree. I'm being silly. I agree. It's like, I tell you what, and for anyone that's just getting into HF, I mean, on the American side, the entry level, the tech class, you have 10 meters for SSB, but that's about it. And let's be honest, 10 meters is, at least the last 3 or 4 years, it's not much to it unless you're very lucky. But to get into HF, but for those guys that are stepping up to general, I really think that starting out with QRP and really like getting your feet wet and learning the HF communications through QRP, it's the way to go, because you're going to realize and learn real quick it's all about the antenna, and it really is. I mean, once you wrap your mind around a resident antenna or making a non-resident antenna work and what it takes and all of the everything that goes with that, you're going to be a great operator no matter how much power you're running. I mean, I think it's QRP to me is something that everybody should at least try for a little while. I'm going to do the same
Exactly.
thing.
Just one moment. I gotta let the cat out here. Just one moment.
Okay. While Morton's letting the cat out, hey, I apologize, guys. I got my iPad over here that's dying. I've been trying to pay attention to the stream here, so if I'm not replying to anybody in the live feed, I apologize. I've got a dying iPad here and a power cord hooked up to my iPhone here for the feed. But hey, you're back, Morton. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm back. It's me and Jim FEP Labs. We both have our cats on stream, so I had to let the cat out for a moment here. There was a question here. Just let me see if I can find it here. William Northcote asked if QRP is below 10 watts, as there seems to be some difference in the meaning. And there is some difference in the meaning. For me, QRP is whatever the contrast rules make QRP, or mostly just low power. But I rarely use the term QRP for more than 20 watts, though.
You know, that's funny that you say that, because I'm in a couple really great groups on Facebook. I love QRP and Kevin's SSB QRP group. And you see debates on there. What is QRP? And to me, QRP means low power, right? I mean, I guess the standard thing is SSB QRP is 10 watts and everything else is 5 watts. I don't know. It's debatable.
Okay, we seem to have lost Walt there for a moment. Let's see if he's back.
Yeah, I had one of those. We're calling you about your car warranty from the United States here. I don't know why that happened.
So, but back to QRP and the definition, though. I'm not that worried about the definition, though. It's more about having low power and optimizing the rest of your station than if it's exactly 5, 10, or 20 watts. At least for me, it is.
Yeah, I mean, like we keep going back to the G90 at 20 watts, and it's 20 watts QRP. I've learned, you know, if you'd have asked me before I bought that G90 at 20 watts, yeah, 20 watts is low power, it's QRP. I'm going to tell you something right now. I learned from experience of using the 20 watts with the G90. 20 watts is not a big step below 100 watts, man. I tell you what, I have worked right here in Poland in March. I worked all continents with the 20 watts. And I couldn't have done it with 5 or 10. I'll be honest with you. There's something about that line at 10 watts when you step to 20. It's a big difference. And I'll go on record now and say 20 watts is not QRP. And I wouldn't have said that 2 years ago.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, though. And when I switched from the G90 to the 817 portable use, it kind of surprised me how much difference there is between 5 and 20 watts. Because I've done the math. I know that there's a significant difference, but I didn't think there'd be that much of a difference in practical use as there is. And that's one of the reasons why I got the 50-watt amplifier as well, which turns out to be left at home for most occasions, though, because it's more to carry and more battery to carry, nonetheless.
I'll tell you, Morton, you know, we're talking about portable operations. Something that I've discovered in the last 4 or 5 months that really was a game changer for me for portable was coils. I got both the Wolf River coil and the Sidewinder, you know, the Sidewinder DX coil from the UK. Those two things, you talk about a resonant antenna, those two things are absolutely amazing. And they're the one thing that I've added to my portable setup that opened up and made everything easier, lightweight. You know, you got I have a collapsible man pack antenna, or you can have a, you know, telescopic antenna or whatever. But if you're thinking about, and this is for people who have never really done a lot of portable ops and you really want to get into it, look into coils, because sliding that thing up and down and making an antenna resonant with a coil, for me it was like a light bulb came on. It was like, oh man, this is so nice. You know, now if like when I do a lot of my videos, like I take out and I go out and buy a cheap Chinese QRP rig or whatever, right? I'm not going to go out there and build an elaborate antenna. I just throw the coil in the ground with a vertical on it and tune it and see how it works. So coils are wonderful things. They really are. And both the Wolf River coil, I have the big one, and the Sidewinder DX that I got. which I hate to compare the two of them. I like the slide. The slide winder only works up to 40 meters, but I like it because for a portable standpoint, it's lightweight, smaller, and for me, it's easier to tune. But if you're thinking about getting into portable ops, you haven't done a whole lot of it, look at the coils, man. They're awesome.
Yeah, I haven't done too many coils. I got the buddy stick, the original one. And when you manage to tune the buddy stick, it's the best antenna in the world, but it's just such a pain to get it in tune. So I've been thinking about trying one of those sliding coils, as you mentioned, and
Yeah.
because that seems just like a so much more smooth experience than the buddy stick, and tapping the coil and putting the hooks in the right places, and then tuning the counterpoise on it, which makes for a lot of stuff to do out in the field.
Yeah, that M1 ECC coil, the Slide Runner DX, that thing I love it. It's amazing. Matter of fact, I was going to bring it with me on this trip, but I got packed up and couldn't get it in there. But I'm going home back to the States for the month of October, and when I come back in November, I'm definitely bringing that with me. It's a joy. It really is. So it's something. Yeah, look into that more, and I think you'll find that it's a great thing, especially. You'll have the opportunity where you're at location-wise too, especially if you're going to go down and operate by the beach. You just like stab a rod in the ground, put it on it, and throw the antenna up. I mean, I put that thing up in 2 minutes. It's easy.
Yeah, my go-to antenna this summer has been the MFJ 1979, the 17-foot whip.
Yeah.
Put that on a ground spike and just some radials out, and just tune it by length, and that's been an awesome antenna to use.
Yeah, my friend Steve, that we have a QRP net on Friday nights over in the States, and my friend Steve's one of he operates it with Kevin from I think Kevin may still be online here. He just got one of those. I was talking to him yesterday, and he seems to love it. It's like I told him, how nice is that? It's 17 feet. You can tune the antenna up and down the telescopic antenna. Like you can go 20, 17, 15, down that way. It looks pretty nice. I'm probably going to end up buying one of those.
Yeah, I just bought it in June, I think. Wanted to have something full size vertical, which I could use on the beach and on the campsite and pretty much anywhere where I'm space restricted. And I haven't regretted that for one moment. It's been the best portable antenna I've ever used for 20 meters and up, since it's a 17-foot whip. Can't really use it for 40 unless you got the coil, but then I'd probably use a shorter antenna anyway with a coil.
Yeah, I think actually, I don't know about woofer coils, but I think the M1 ECC guys say don't use the 17-foot with the slide winder because I think it's a little bit too much top heavy weight for it. So for sure there.
Yeah, that might be an issue though if you put a 17-foot whip on top of a coil. And I just linked to your channel in the chat here. So for those of you guys who aren't subscribers, please do. You won't regret it.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm having a lot of fun with the channel. I really am. And, I started that for fun, and it took off. And I never realized I would enjoy YouTube as much as I do. I'll be honest with you. I'm a hack. My video I put out Saturday was video number 50, and it was I got the notice saying that was your 50th video, and I look at it like the audio in this week's video was horrible. I'm in Poland, I'm sorry. It used to be a communist country, so everything's square here. Even the roof of the house is and yeah, so everywhere I go is echo. You're probably hearing echo with me right now. And when I came over with my phone, I had everything ready. I have a mic that I use, and I walked out the door with it, and so I won't see the mic for 2 months. And the sound audio on that's the quality is kind of bad, but it is what it is. But yeah, I've met some wonderful people through my channel. I think of all the things, it's not about getting monetized. I've said this on my channel before, and I don't try to make a video every 3 or 4 days to keep things going. I just make a video when I feel like something's good. It usually ends up being one a week or whatever. But I think of all the things that this channel has brought to me, Mostly it's the friendships, and you're a big one, Morton. Guys like you, Kevin, and guys, the friendships I've made, not just through ham radio, but through YouTube, it's just been amazing, and I love that. I've got friends around the world now that mean a lot to me. That are not just oh hey, he's my friend. We've all actually developed a great friendship, and it's wonderful. And it's kind of why, like all social media, you have the trolls out there and the people that just, always say things or do things with it. It's like, I don't get that with some people. I know I put myself out there. I'm out there. If you're on any platform, social media wise, and you're making videos or whatever, you're putting yourself out there. So I do. But some of the things that you get back are pretty hateful. What I usually do, and this is advice to anybody that's going down the YouTube trail. God bless you. I would love to watch your stuff, or whatever. But some advice I can give to newer YouTubers is like when people comment on your channel and start saying it, just delete it right away. Just delete it. Get rid of them and don't put up with it. And you'll be a happier person for it. I mean, I get frustrated when I see people saying hateful things to other YouTubers. I'm like, come on, man, this guy's working hard to put content out. But getting back to the original thing, yeah, with my channel, the greatest part of all is all the friendships I've made.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you though. As I've said many times, I started my YouTube channel just to show my kids that you couldn't really get any followers on YouTube, and I gotta admit I was wrong about that. But I did not expect the friendships and the really nice place that ham radio YouTube is. I didn't expect that at all. And it's just a really nice place on the internet where people back each other up, and there is not really any competition, and not really that many hateful comments in the comment section as well. I tend to do the smoking ape approach to comments, though. I always thank even the negative commenters for
Yeah,
commenting, and just tell them that I hope you like the video, and
yeah, I love Ape's approach.
that's an effective approach as well.
Yeah, I love that. Ape taught me that actually. He said, just say thanks for watching. He said, that gets to him. But yeah, listen, amateur radio is, I don't want to say it's dying. It's not dying. It's alive and well. But it's a kind of a hobby that's not as popular as it probably once was. And it's just like, look, I'm not an FT8 or a guy that does different digital modes or whatever. And they're really not my favorite thing in the world either. But I'm not gonna like post the big slash with the no FTA or whatever. It's like I kind of think that we as ham radio and amateur radio operators, like we need to fight together and quit bashing each other, and especially what I like to call them the gatekeepers, and some people call them the sad hams or whatever, the older guys. I mean, look, I'm an old guy too. I'm 60 years old, but when I see a kid coming in and he makes a comment or whatever, I'm not gonna stand there and act like I know everything, because I don't, and get on lines and start saying things or whatever. Because here's my philosophy on amateur radio. I'm going to use American license. So we have a technician, a general, and an extra. If you're an extra, you're no different or no better than a technician. You don't hold any dominion or anything over the guy below you, the general or the technician. All you have is the privilege to operate with a little bit more power with a few more frequencies. Other than that, you have nothing. And you have no right to jump into forums, groups, or whatever and just start bashing on people. That's probably the one part of this hobby that bothers me the most, is watching the pure, just hate. I don't want to say hatefulness, but the guys that want to show everybody how smart they are. They're like, I want to be the tallest building in the city, so I'm going to tear down all the other buildings to be that guy. Listen, we're all in this together, and we're all learning together, and we're called amateur radio operators. And I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. I was actually going to make a video. I really was, and then I backed off because I was like, you get frustrated, but yeah, it is what it is.
It is, but well, I tend to stay away from that large forum site with 3 letters because of that. But everywhere else on amateur radio internet, people are friendly, people are helping, and as you, that's one of my goals with this channel is to show people that even experienced hams, and I'm not there yet, but even experienced people do mistakes, and you still gotta experiment, you gotta fail, and you gotta learn from your failure, and that's a really important part of the hobby. And I kind of like the Danish because they call it not just a radio amateur, but they call it an experimental radio amateur. So they have the experimenting bit in the name, and that's actually really good.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because my career, I'm a design engineer. I design naval vessels and ships and systems and stuff for that. I've been doing this for almost 40 years. And, I learned theory and I learned how, all the physics and theories to, why a ship goes through the water and how it does or whatever. But one thing I've learned, and I've carried that from my career over to amateur radio is like, listen, just like science, nothing is exact. Medicine is nothing is exact. You have to know a little bit of the theory, but go out there and put it together, build it, like right now, it's the reason why I'm overseas here. I'm a field engineer. Now I'm the guy that goes out after we've designed it and make sure it works, and then tweak and make things work after, make changes to the drawing or whatever, make things work. And I think that's really, for me, it's carried over well, that what I've learned in my career being an engineer over to radio is look, yeah, the theory says that this antenna won't work, but you know what, we'll never know until we put it up and try it, and that's what I enjoy doing. It's basically the reason I like portable operations so much is because I can build a different antenna every week, and some of them have failed and some of them haven't, but I learned, by doing, not by, reading a book. I'm not the guy that's going to read a book and learn all the theory and then tell you you're wrong because the theory says you're wrong. I'm going to go out and try it.
Yeah, and that's my approach as well. I tried, and then I figured out that haven't really taken all the variables into consideration. So I got to try one more time, and until it just works, and that's kind of the common denominator for all design. It's trial and error, and at the end, you'll end up with something that works. And everyone's been new at something at some point, and us hams that have been in the game for a while, or a shorter while, or are on YouTube, we shouldn't be pushing people away from the hobby. We should be welcoming people towards the hobby, especially since the newer generations, they haven't experienced a world without the internet and global communication.
Right.
For me and for you, a radio signal from far away was pure magic. And I know I've said this plenty of times, but for my kids, um, it's just something that's there, and that's the big difference, though.
I agree. And you know what? It's funny you say that because I came into this hobby, as a young kid. I remember being, I think it was 8 years old. I got an AM radio for my birthday, a little portable AM radio. And, at the time I was listening, it's like, this was like 1970. And I'm old anyway. And I remember tuning it around or whatever. And I went to bed at night. And my mom told me to go to bed, and I stuck the little radio in there, and it was amazing to me. It's like the moment the magic of radio hit me. It's like I'm in Virginia and I'm tuning the radio around and I'm listening to 1,500 miles away, stations in Indiana and Chicago, New York, or whatever. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And it's sad
Yeah.
because AM radio is dying. A real medium wave, as we call it here in Europe, but. Yeah, and you're right, and I don't think the newer kids, their hams or whatever, sadly don't understand a world without the internet. When we were just absolutely amazed by being able to hear something 1,600 kilometers away on a little $9.99 pocket radio. That was pure magic. It really was for me when I was a kid, and it sparked the fire, 50 years ago for me, or 52 years ago for me. It's just like I've fallen down the radio rabbit hole ever since. I love radio.
Yeah, I remember when I grew up in Norway, we had one TV channel, one national TV channel, and two radio channels. Or actually, we had one radio channel until 1984. Then we got two radio channels. But flipping that radio over to either medium wave or short wave, and being able to pick up languages that you didn't know, and all that was pure magic. And when I went to Illinois as an exchange student in '94, I remember going to Radio Shack in Peoria, Illinois, and I bought a Radio Shack shortwave receiver just to be able to hear radio from back home,
Right.
and that was just pure magic. And now you can do that through the internet, and there's no challenge to it.
It's funny you say that. You say radio from back home. Being an English speaker, I like to lay in bed at night. I've always done it and listen to AM radio. So I have a little AM loop antenna. It's called the AM 200 Texan loop, a medium wave loop, and I have a couple little medium wave radios with me. And I can tell you from where I'm sitting right now exactly where the UK is at, because it's actually helped me for positioning my antennas for ham radio. But when you turn, how you turn a loop antenna for AM, and it's directional. And but I lay in bed at night and listen to Radio Caroline. I did a video talking about that earlier. But I listened to Absolute Radio 1215. I listen because I hate to say this, but I'm an English speaking person, and it's nice to listen and lay in bed at night, relax, and listen to English speaking radio. And so I still enjoy AM/medium wave radio right now to this moment. Everywhere I travel, I carry radio with me.
Yeah, and I always tend to do two things when traveling. One is just to do a quick swipe around the FM band just to see what radio is like, and the other thing is get the local newspapers and print. And you don't get the same feel with the internet, unfortunately. And I see William here says that BBC Radio Scotland is on 810 AM.
I'll check that out for sure. I'm cutting on my medium wave radio, so I'll have to give that a listen.
So, and if you do come to Norway, we don't even have FM radio here anymore.
I know, it's what, DAB plus or DAB now, or do you guys even use that?
Yeah, DAB and DAB plus, which is in some ways great. You get a much bigger selection on the radio, but then again, some of the magic is gone of discovering those small local stations somewhere around. So
I like FM in the United States right now more because, especially through the summer, I tell you what, a magical moment I'll tell you with FM radio. So if you're familiar with the United States, I left Virginia and went across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge up we have what's called the Eastern Shore of Virginia, and then there's Maryland and Delaware. It's like right along the coast. So I was taking my son to an ice hockey camp up in Massachusetts, and we were in Delaware in June. And so when you're riding in the States and you start losing FM stations and pick up the other ones, I tuned the dial, and we were in on coastal Delaware, and I tuned the dial, and it was like a modern rock station or whatever my son was enjoying or whatever. So we're riding along, and it's excellent reception. And the guy comes on and goes, yeah, the pride of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, Minnesota, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, holy cow. It was sporadic skip is what we were experiencing, in Delaware. Delaware and Minnesota, if you look at the geography of the states, I think it was about 1,000 miles, So, stuff that's going to fade away with digital, like there's talk in the States about making medium wave digital radio or whatever, and you're going to lose that magic. You know what I mean? It kind of goes away.
So yeah, at least for us older guys, though, and we might just be two grumpy older guys, like the two old guys on the Muppet Show now. Just just talking about how things were better before.
Yeah, you know what? When I grew up,
But it still doesn't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, when I grew up, there was two types of radio, AM and FM. We called it almost magic and effing magic. You know what I mean? That's what it was all about.
Yeah. So, but yeah, radio is still magic though, and I get to experience some of that magic through sitting in my shack and just dialing through the bands, and not only the ham bands, but also the shortwave bands, and seeing what kind of strange stations I can pick up. But there are a lot less shortwave stations that, compared to what it was only 20 to 30 years ago as well.
Right.
So, but there still are some stations around there, and mostly religious and propaganda stations from either China or Russia, seems like. But there are signals to be picked up, so so it's still a great experience, and it's still something you don't get through the internet or through the radio on your kitchen bench there. So so I love it.
I do too. I do too. I absolutely love radio. Everything about radio. I mean, it's defined my life for me. I mean, like I said, starting out as a kid or whatever. I mean, the you know, I grew up in an era in the I was a teenager in the '70s where we like to say we were raised on the radio. You know what I mean? It was, when you think about all the music that's still amazing now. The Fleetwood Macs, the beat all the way back to the Beatles, and for us as American, the Eagles, and all
Yeah.
that. That all came about because of radio. And it defined my life growing up. It was all about radio. I remember, you talk about FM radio in the States. I would stay up our local FM station when a new album would come out. When they would call it the Midnight Album, and they'd play an album in its entirety, and I would go up
Yeah.
cassette deck. I had my cassette thing. I'd wait, like boom, and all right, I got the album now. So we were the bandits, whatever, before. What's the people that used to get them online or whatever, Napster. That was before Napster. We
Yeah.
used to record it right off the radio.
So, but I see we're closing in on the hour mark here now, Walt, and it's been great having you on, and it's been a great show, and thanks to all the viewers in the chat, and hope all of you guys get over to Walt's channel and subscribe to his channel. A lot of great content there, and it's amazing to see how you work on the beach, and what you're able to work with a small Chinese QRP radio and a vertical. So it's been a great inspiration for a lot of us other hams here. So it's getting to that point that I got to start to get the kids in bed here. So I'm going to say 7-3, and thanks for being on, Walt.
Thank you so much, Warren. Thanks for inviting me on. I've really enjoyed it, and to everybody that tuned in tonight and watched today, thanks. I'll see you in the comments, and thanks for everything.
Okay, 7-3 all, and I'll be back on Monday with another live stream, and don't know what it's going to be about yet, but we'll see. So thank you for watching, and 7-3.